Episode 122, The Rise of Skywalker Book Review.
This is Nate.
This is Dante.
And this is Daniel. In this episode, we're going to be reviewing the novelization of Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. We'll be looking at the story, comparing it to the movie, and taking a deep dive into the canon and details within the Star Wars universe. Just a heads up here, this episode will contain spoilers, so if you want to read the book for yourself, or you haven't seen the movie for some crazy reason, and you don't want it to be spoiled, stop now, read the book for yourself, and then listen to this episode later. But if you don't really care about spoilers, you don't really plan on reading the book, or you already have, then you're in the right place because we're going to have a great discussion about the book versus movie, canon, and lots of awesome details. So let's get to it. You may have noticed a new name as we introduced ourselves. We have Dante Peoples with us today. Special guest. Dante, how you doing?
Pretty good. About yourself?
Great, and thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do we need to know about you?
I'm into cosplay, really into comic books, reading comic books and things like that. Cool. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was in junior high. I do a lot of writing, so I've done, Star Wars fan fiction.
Nice.
That's really much about it. Everybody at my job at my EMS station, whenever they have a question about, comic books or Star Wars, Game of Thrones, anything, they ask Dante. Exactly. Yep.
That's awesome. Are you like the resident nerd for all of them?
I am the resident nerd, yeah. And in fact, because my office is, I have posters and things like that. People would drop off stuff and give it to me, and I have it's ridiculous.
It's kind of it's fun being that person, but it also can be annoying sometimes because like everyone knows online that I love lightsabers. I do a lot of lightsaber editing. I make lightsabers. Star Wars, cosplay, all that stuff.
Nate
which I
tags
love.
him in Star Wars.
Yeah. What gets annoying after a while is everyone always sends the same lightsaber or Star Wars posts to me, like the viral ones, like the lightsaber chopsticks. Those things came out like a few years ago, and everyone was sending me the dang lightsaber chopsticks to my wall. I'm like, stop, guys! I've seen it 20 times.
Well, you know what? So I am working on a Galen Starkiller cosplay.
Oh, cool.
And I am going to buy his lightsabers. So when I do that, I will send you that information.
Super cool.
I know a guy that can photograph you really good.
Oh yeah? I think I do too.
For those that are listening out there, I've actually photographed Dante. We had a really awesome group Street Fighter photo shoot
so big.
at PAX. Yeah, it was like PAX 14, South, 15 people. It was big.
It was upwards to that, yeah.
And you were Ryu, right?
Yes, I was.
Yeah. Cool. Well, Dante, we got to ask this question. What did you have for breakfast this morning? That's our question for new guests.
What I have for breakfast this morning? What did I have? I did not eat breakfast this morning. I did not. You know what?
Shame on you.
It is. Well, my wife, she gets on me all the time because she's always like, Dante, you should have your breakfast. If anything, you should have breakfast.
Okay, Mom.
Right, and then my EMS station is right next to a McDonald's, and I'm trying to keep away from like fast food, and so I don't do fast food anymore. So I ignore the sausage egg McMuffins I used to eat. So yeah, I didn't eat. Oh, I take that back. Someone brought some cereal because if at every hospital there's an EMS room, and someone brought like cereal from there, and I 5-finger discounted that cereal and ate it. So yeah, I ate a little thing of like those old school like elementary school cereal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I love cereal. I could eat stuff for every meal. I'm a cereal junkie.
Oh man, I can eat cereal right now as we speak. As we have this, this.
What's your favorite kind? What's your favorite kind?
Captain Crunch berries.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Nate, what about you? Are you a cereal guy?
Yeah, I am. Ooh, that's tough. Dang it. I love Honey Nut Cheerios, Captain Crunch. Ugh, there's so many. Did you say basic? Oh my gosh.
Honey Nut Cheerios. I mean, they are good, but
that's an old man cereal.
Get that cholesterol.
Frosted Flakes has a chocolate version of it.
Oh yeah.
So I eat that, but I do something that's very bad. I add Hershey's chocolate syrup in it.
Oh wow! Take your insulin afterwards.
Oh man, I listen. By the time I'm finished, I have a bowl full of just chocolate milk.
Super chocolate milk.
Yes.
For me, right now, my favorite is the peanut butter dots. I think it's by Annie's. It's a real healthy brand, like organic everything, but they're still really good, and I love them.
You just had to go that route, didn't you?
Yeah,
organic cereal. You know what? You just made me feel bad. You just made me feel bad about my chocolate frosted flakes.
Sugar overload. You know what I do is I'll add sliced peanut butter. Wow. Sliced bananas. I love peanut butter, by the way. Everything gets peanut butter on it. But I put sliced bananas, and sometimes I put we have the small dark chocolate chips, like dark chocolate chips.
Yeah.
And I like to believe those are healthy.
I feel like as we go on, his chocolate syrup doesn't sound that bad.
Let's try that. Well, let's get to the episode. So we all listened to the audiobook of The Rise of Skywalker. Was it, what do they call it? Deluxe edition or something like that?
Expanded edition or something like that. Yeah.
Which I'm like, what is expanded? I mean, it's a book, so it's going to have more details than a movie, but whatever.
Yeah.
That was kind of weird. That's just a selling marketing decision, I'm sure.
All right.
Now, Nate, tell us what you did today concerning this book.
Okay, so, man, how long ago did we plan on reading this book? Maybe 2 weeks ago? Yeah, more or less. Yeah. And so I've been listening to it. I've been a good boy, and I was sitting there. I was like, you know what? We have the review tonight, and what chapter am I on? Oh, dang! I don't know how I got here so quick. And I was like, okay, well, I'm on my way to work, and I was like, I guess we're starting the book over. So I turned it to 2.30 speed, and I listened to the entire book all day.
Man.
So what was a 9-hour book was like a 3-hour book.
No, it was more like 4 plus, maybe.
Thing.
But no, it was good. Like, see, I don't know. I wasn't pulled away from all the information at that fast. I think maybe any faster, probably, especially when you get into like robot voices. That was kind of fun. But
oh man, but that sounds
C-3PO.
Yeah.
Now, Dante, are you an audiobook guy, or is this kind of a special thing for you?
Let's see here. Right now, I have 62 titles in my Audible.
Well, dang.
Yeah, I have all my badges. Yep.
Where's my badge? I'm shook.
Overdrive needs to give me some badge. I use Overdrive to get the audiobooks from the library.
Overdrive. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, Overdrive is kind of like a content delivery system, like generically, but it's used by libraries to log into the library system, and you can check out books. So it doesn't have the selection as Audible, and you have to wait on books sometimes. Like I put in like my name, I put a hold on this book, and it took like a month to get it. And right when I got it, I was like, all right, I'm listening to this ASAP, and we're doing an episode.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. But I on a good week of a lot of driving with my day job, I can listen to a book in a week. Sometimes 2 weeks, depending on how much I'm driving and if I really love the book. I love audiobooks. You know, for me, it works. Some people it doesn't work. Like my wife can't stand it. It doesn't work for her. But for me, I love me some audiobooks. I've listened to like over 100 books in the past few years, and that's a big deal for me because I'm a super slow, distracted reader. Like I just can't finish physical books. It's really hard for me.
For me, it depends on the book. Some stories I have to have the book. Just like with comic books, I would never buy a comic book online. I have to have the the comic in my hand. But some books I can Audible or just books on audio is it's perfect for me. But some books I like to have the the pages through my fingers. And
now, do you have a favorite Star Wars book you've read or listened to?
I love Path of Destruction and Rule of Two, but I also love Darth Revan.
That was good. Yeah.
And
was the book named Revan? Because I listened to that one.
Yeah, it's called Old Republic Revan.
Yeah.
And
that was great.
I like Plagueis. That was good. No, Deceived. That was another one that I loved.
Yeah, that's cool. I started that one. I don't think I finished it.
Well, see, that was based off the Old Republic video game, and I got so hooked on those cinema photography or those videos they were showing online, like the promotion of the game. Like I was like, when I first saw them, like, is this a new Star Wars film?
Yeah,
like,
those cut scenes are so freaking beautiful.
Man, those things were amazing. Like when they had the ship coming through and crash into the Jedi Temple, I was like,
and then the red sabers.
Oh man, I thought that was a movie. I was so disappointed to find out it was a game. I was like, oh,
dang it. For me, my favorite, it's hard. I really like Into the Void, Dawn of the Jedi. It's not your typical Star Wars book. It's just unique. It was really fun to listen to. And I'd have to look at my list of all the ones I've read. I mean, I love the original Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. Those are just like perfect. A perfect Star Wars book. They really are. All three of them are just perfect, solid all the way through. And it's cool because they paved the way for so many ideas and characters and just plot things that happen later, even like 10 years later in the real world when books were written, like all the expanded universe books that started coming out like early 2000s. Like that trilogy paved the way for all these Star Wars books to come after it that are no longer canon, but you know, good stuff out there. Nate, I don't know how many Star Wars books you listen to. Do you have any favorites?
I listen to the Thrawn trilogy as well, and
yeah, I made you do it.
It's so good.
Like, dude, listen to these.
Put it this way, I want to go back and listen. It was just a different caliber of Star Wars that I'd never jumped into, and I was just like, oh, this is so good. And I was like, I can't wait to hear the other book, and I can't wait to get the next one.
Dante, let's talk about the movie real quick before we get to the book. So just to kind of set the stage for your opinion, your feelings of the movies, and ours, and then we can kind of contrast that as we move into the book. Like, what did it help the movie? Did it explain things? Did it not? Blah blah blah. So just in general, the Rise of Skywalker movie, what is your overall feeling about that movie?
I don't want to be a fanboy. I don't want to, sound like a fanboy, but my overall, like from 1 to 10, I gave it like maybe a 6. Because I really enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. It just like I just felt like J.J. Abrams spent more time just fixing, or at least attempting to fix in the Last Jedi issues, and as far as the Rise of Skywalker, were there issues with the film? Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't enough to like write it off.
Yeah,
because I completely wrote off the Last Jedi. I don't even consider that canon. But I enjoy the Rise of Skywalker. Is it because I'm a J.J. Abrams fan? Maybe, but but I like like I said, 6.5. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my take on that.
Nate, what about you?
Visually pleasing. There were some parts that I felt like it was kind of rushed, and I was like, it's kind of an interesting way to just kind of squish it all in a 2.5 hour movie. But
totally
okay. I mean, I can't do anything about it because it's already done. But
no, you can make a petition, and Disney will listen to you, and they'll read you the whole movie.
Okay,
just for you.
I'm like a flea to them, so they're gonna be like, okay, cool. I own the movie, so let's put it that way. How much I liked it. Could it be explained a little bit better and more in depth in some of the gray areas but it is what it is. We're talking about Star Wars. As much as I love Star Wars, there's a lot of gray areas. So
yeah, as much as I loved it too. I literally have a list written in my Evernote.
Oh, we did an episode on like how much we hate Star Wars.
Yeah, yes, that was fun. Things I hate about Star Wars.
Yeah,
I remember you guys doing the episode something to the fact that you guys like love or hate Star Wars. I remember that episode.
Yeah, we've done Star Wars versus Star Trek. We did things we hate about Star Wars. And I did an episode a few episodes after our like movie review for The Rise of Skywalker. I did one with a special guest, and basically I kind of listed the things that I wish or that could have been done better. Like simple stuff, not like crazy rewrites. Yeah. Just like, hey, show a scene of this or show this dream that is referenced but we never see.
I just felt like there was a lot of like leaping into you have to assume to know it just happened. It's like
okay. Yeah, they left it to your imagination, but with a twist. You got to imagine exactly what they're thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was weird. Like they wanted you to think what they were planning on doing, and it was just kind of
left it open ended.
Well, let's get into the book. So that's what this episode's supposed to be, is a book review. So we'll start with you, Dante, since you're our guest. What were you hoping to find in this book? I mean, was there something you were kind of hoping it would fix or fill in the gaps, anything like that?
So yeah, actually, I wrote a list when I saw that. When I saw that question, I kind of I was thinking about some of the stuff that I was questioning as I was listening. So like, I just really was hoping they filled holes, that they had in the movie, which were a lot. Yes. But one of my biggest ones was like Lando Calrissian. Like, where was he this entire time? Yeah. He just pops out of nowhere.
That was good.
The stormtroopers that went AWOL. I was hoping they would like kind of explain.
That was awesome.
Yeah, all right. There were more people like Finn, but we get some answers to why they did it. Where did they go?
Mm-hmm.
I you know what? As much as I think Poe was just a mirror of Han Solo, I really wanted to know what Poe's past was, because that whole
it's shady
dialogue, that whole thing between him and the one girl, it's like it seemed interesting to me.
That was very intriguing.
Oh, they left plenty of room for some novels. That's what they're doing.
Plenty of, you know what? That probably what it was. They were like, oh, this is we're gonna.
We have like 30 years of Star Wars history that's barely been touched so far. They're kind of filling it in very slowly.
They're sitting on a gold mine.
Yeah, the Mandalorian is encroaching upon those 30 years of mystery, the Dark Ages almost.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that in a few years we'll kind of jump back to in the middle and see like teenage, I don't know, not about Rey, but Rey is a teenager somewhere. Or Ben, teenage Ben.
Yeah.
What was Luke doing? Luke was hunting down artifacts, we find out in episode 8.
Right.
I want to see that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And then my last thing was just Finn's force abilities. That was really it. I was hoping they were expand that.
The movie totally dropped that. They did not do a good job of that. No. The book does.
Yeah, the book actually did, which I appreciated more, about
totally
about that. So
yeah. What about you, Nate? What were you hoping to get out of this book?
I kind of went in it not too judgy because how I felt about the movie, but I found it a little bit more interesting that they gave a little bit more backstory on Luke and Leia, and instead of just our movie part where they was just flipping in sabers and it was over. So that was nice. When Kylo Ren was walking into Sidious's area, it had dawned on me that they were giving the detail of just the book, in the book about where he was and how many like centuries and decades and how many Sith. And I was like, you know what? I'm more curious now, like that area that they were all being held, how long that's been around and where it started, because they gave like an in-depth in the book and not in the movie. Dang, I didn't even think about that. Like, how long has that been around?
Right. Apparently it's called the Citadel, which they never reveal in the movie.
Yeah.
So I kind of have a theory about that, actually.
Oh, okay. What is it?
I'm under the impression that that Citadel was probably from the Old Republic, if not, further back.
Well, I read a cool theory that said it could be a Starforge, and that's how he made the ships. Wouldn't that be perfect?
Oh,
because the Starforges use energy from a sun, and they create, a whole war fleet of ships.
Sure.
And I was like, how did he make all these thousands of Star Destroyers? Even 30 years, it's just, I don't know. I mean, it could happen, but that's a lot of resources and a lot of manpower. But if you got a Starforge in the planet or somewhere nearby, boom, there you go. Now those aren't canon right now, but cool idea.
No, I like that idea.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that.
For myself, I was hoping also to fill in some gaps and to get some better feel for the characters and their history, things like that. I like I said, I have a list written down of like my problems with episode 9, and that are more so like things that were jumped past and not explained. And how they could have, in my opinion, easily have been. So I was hoping that some of that stuff would be filled in, which there was some. There were some explanations, but there also were some points that I felt were actually like important, and they were still kind of left alone. They weren't really fleshed out very well.
Yeah.
But overall, I really enjoyed the book. I thought it was very well written. I've never heard the author's name. Her name is Rae Carson. I never heard of her before. And I'm thinking, for someone that Disney's picking to novelize the final chapter of 35-ish years of Star Wars like fandom, I don't know. I don't know what name they would have picked, but I just feel like it's kind of feels like a no name to me. She's only done 3 other Star Wars, well, like 1 novel and then like 2 short stories. That's all she's done. And she does have some fantasy books of her own that seem pretty well, pretty interesting. But I don't know. I just felt like, oh, who is this woman? But she did a great job. I thought it was very well written and very fun. You know, it's just like an expanded movie in your head while you're reading it. For the book rating, as far as, you know, how I feel about it, I'd give it a 5-star. It was a good solid book. Now, if we're talking about the story, that's a different issue, which she had to deal with the story that was given to her, right? But I give the book itself a 5-star. What about you guys?
You give it a 5 porg.
Yeah, 5 porg. 5 roasted porgs.
As rating, man, that's tough.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm right with you. Maybe a little bit higher, like maybe a 6, just because they laid out some stuff that I didn't know. So
you're gonna give it 6 pointless Sith daggers,
pretty much. And don't trust me. That extra step above yours isn't to like outdo you. It's just I feel like there were some things that they answered. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. So I got kind of more aha moments in the book.
Yeah. What about you, Dante?
So I'm kind of in line with Nate. There were a lot of aha moments. I don't want to feel like I'm going a step above you either, because I was going to give it a 7. Yeah, slightly more than what I give the film.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, because it just that they were able to give insight on a lot of things that the movie just ignored or just glossed over. I mean, that's yeah.
So real quick before I forget about it, if you guys are curious, Ray Carson, the author, the novel that she wrote is called Most Wanted, and that's actually a prequel to the Solo film, which is pretty cool. Yeah. I'm curious. I think I checked it out on the library app, but I haven't listened to it yet. So Most Wanted, and then she wrote Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing, which is a short story in the Canto Bight anthology novel. There's a bunch of short stories by different authors. And then similarly, she wrote The Red One, which is a short story in From a Certain Point of View novel or anthology.
The Red One, I actually kind of looked it up, and it's actually from the perspective from the droid that Luke and his father were going, or his uncle, I'm sorry. His uncle were going to.
Hey.
All right, shame on me. But yeah, they were going to buy the other droid instead of R2D2.
It was R4D5, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was from the perspective of that droid, and you find out, which is weird, that that motor blowing may not have been, it might have been maybe on purpose or whatever. So it's kind of interesting.
Sabotage himself? Yeah, I actually got that book.
Yeah.
I listened to the first 2 stories in that anthology, and it only took me like 15 minutes to listen to those 2. And I enjoyed them. I'm looking forward to getting to that one by Ray Carson. I think it's going to be cool.
Okay.
And can we just give a slow clap to Mark Thompson?
Oh, man.
He's so good.
He needs a freaking Emmy for his voice. Just...
Oh yeah, he should have been. He should have had an Emmy a long time ago when he was doing Joker.
Yes, yes, it is true. But he does Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley freaking perfectly, doesn't he?
Which is weird because he's a dude, and he gets Ray perfect.
He does Ray so good. Yeah. So I was curious. I kept telling myself, this guy needs an award. Like, is there an award for narrators for audiobook voices? And there is. It's called an Audie. And he was nominated for one. This year it was for a Star Wars book about Count Dooku. It's called like Lost Jedi.
Oh, Lost Dooku. Yeah, that was yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Huh. And I mean, Mark Thompson is just phenomenal. He does like probably 80 to 90% of the Star Wars books. Yes. There is one other guy. He does a good job too, but it's just not the same as Mark Thompson, man. There were a few times where I was almost wondering, did they get this from the movie? Like, this sounds his Palpatine voice, and even his Kylo Ren voice is just so perfect. I was like, is this a clip from the movie? Yeah, my ears were tricked.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Wow. I'm still sticking with my 6, but what kind of Wookiee sounds like that?
Yeah, his Wookiee. I was like, okay, he had better Wookiees.
I was like, it wouldn't have been that hard just to put the same sound over and over. I don't care, but that I'm like, okay, calm down.
Oh my gosh,
it sounds very lazy.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, he's done better Wookiee. But speaking of Wookiee voices and Mark Thompson narrated the original Thrawn trilogy I mentioned earlier by Timothy Zahn. And there's a Wookiee that talks English. He learns to talk English through his growling. And the way that Mark Thompson does it is so friggin' funny. It's like a growl, but it's like a slurred English through his growling. And he's an ambassador for Kashyyyk. So, he has to talk to other senators, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny. Just something to look forward to when you listen to those trilogies. Okay, so what is something that surprised you guys about the book? Does anything stand out that just like, wow, that you really liked?
All right, I'm going to say it filled holes and it clarified and it expanded on many details, but it also retconned a lot of things, which was really surprising.
Ooh, tell me more. What did it retcon?
So, for example, the whole thing, because it really annoyed me at the end of the film when Rey actually kissed Kylo Ren. So the novel actually kind of retconned it in a way that it wasn't a romantic type, kiss.
They friend zoned him.
Yeah, they tried to throw in that whole dyad thing, saying that was more of a gratitude kiss, and it was because
thank you. What?
It's wait a minute,
what the movie said.
How are you supposed to convey that in a film? How are you supposed to say that in a film?
With a kiss.
Right? You kiss them and go, thank you, and then run away.
I mean, she could at least said thank you. I mean, but no one's gonna.
In the movie, the dramatic music and the dramatic pause makes it romantic. So
exactly, yeah, exactly.
This movie has so much fan service, which I say that in a good way, but this is like anti-fan service, destroying the romance. It's like, oh yeah, all you Reylo fans out there, well, take this. It's a thank you, respectful, a kiss of thanks. What? So weird, so unnecessary.
Yeah,
I'm not gung ho for the whole Reylo romance thing.
No.
I don't really care right now, but don't ruin something that's so obviously a romantic moment. I don't know. This is unnecessary. Why'd they have to do that? Why'd they friend zone him?
It was no purpose in that at all.
Yeah, that was a surprise to me too.
It was kind of like how when Rose kissed Finn in The Last Jedi. What was the purpose? I didn't.
That was a thank you too.
Oh yeah,
I didn't understand.
Another dropped thread of the mix-up of directors.
I know.
Yeah.
Barf.
And even in the book or the movie, there was a lot of weird, okay, did they like each other? Okay, they don't like each other. Oh, they like each other. Oh, wait, never mind. They kiss.
For sure.
Never mind.
There's a funny retcon. You may not think of it as a retcon, but I kind of feel like it is. When the X-Wing comes out of the water on Ahch-To, and before she flies off the planet, after Episode 8 came out, people were like, okay, the door on Luke's hut is the wing of the X-Wing. So, the X-Wing is in bad condition. It can't be flying out there. You can't use X-Wing.
Yeah.
And when the movie came out, Episode 9, they're like, how could she fly the X-Wing? The door is literally the wing. And some other things are taken. But the book explains it. It says that she took the door and fixed the wing and, did all this repair to it. I'm like, okay. Thanks for that.
Yeah. See.
Funny. Like that would have taken months of work with.
It's just a little nod like they did in Solo when the Millennium Falcon loses the satellite dish. So
yes, yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So for me, something that surprised me. Well, first of all, that Endor is a gas giant. I think I read that somewhere. Someone had discovered it previous, but just Endor. We always hear about the moon of Endor, but Endor itself is like Jupiter.
Yeah,
it's just weird. I don't know. It's never seen. I don't think you ever see Endor itself. That was kind of weird. But I love the lightsaber little inclusion where Rey did want to make a staff saber because that makes me so happy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was nice.
She just didn't have time. She didn't have time running around with the Resistance. Too busy.
I did think that was a nice touch.
Yeah, that was cool. And the whole hinge thing. So that's subconscious. She's got this hinge design in her subconscious, and the Force brings out that imagery when she sees Dark Rey and she faces her like this Force vision thing of her evil potential. I thought that was a cool little thing they had in there.
Yeah,
So let's talk about some of the details of the book. Kind of, if you want to do book versus movie, or if you just want to bring out something that was in the book that really stood out, and if you did any research or connections, how it all kind of ties into the bigger universe of stuff. What I did was when I listened to it, I literally had a document where I would just write down, like in shorthand, like something that stood out to me in this chapter. I just wrote it all in chronological order.
Yeah.
So I have a whole bunch of kind of just, what do they call it? Flow of consciousness or something like that, ideas and questions. And then I went back later and actually did some research and filled in the gaps for myself to like, this place, this character, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I have, which I'm sure you guys were surprised by as well, is the Eye of Bog monster on Mustafar. What the heck? That thing was not in the movie at all.
What? And I don't know why not. That was so good. I was like,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when Kylo goes to Mustafar, which again they don't even reveal that it's Mustafar in the movie, they just leave it for you to find out later. When he goes there to get the Wayfinder, he has to go through this like swamp, and there's this creature that like Vader has tasked to protect the Wayfinder.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked it up, and it's pretty cool. They actually did build a fully practical character, and they actually shot it. They did film it over in the UK somewhere.
Man, that'd be cool.
I didn't see it. I don't know if there's any released photos of it.
So when I heard that part, back if you're calling from like Solo, you know that monster that they talked to that in that swampy dark room, snake, whatever.
Yeah,
that was kind of the picture I was getting listening to the book. Now I'm not saying I'm right, but that was kind of the vibe I was getting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's Eye of Webbish Bog.
Webbish Bog. Yeah. Well.
And you know what? This is interesting. When I read that in the book, I was thinking of the character that was made up by Colin Trevorrow, who was originally going to make Episode 9, right? And then he got fired.
Yeah.
Because some of his ideas are pretty wacky. But one of his wacky ideas was to have this like super ancient Sith Lord out in some weird place in space that Palpatine consulted with, and actually Palpatine learned stuff from him. So in Episode 9, originally Colin Trevorrow was going to have Kylo Ren kind of track back to this Sith creature and like learn from him.
What a miss.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and this creature is very spider-like, lives in a swamp, and basically is immobile and just kind of stays put in this rock. And there's actually a lot of concept art you can find about the creature. And I typed in Eye of Webbish Bog on Google Images, and you know what comes up? All the concept art for Colin Trevorrow's creature, Sith creature.
Oh, man.
So it's almost like I'm thinking, they took Colin Trevorrow's little, big Sith ancient
that must
teacher
suck
thing.
If that's true.
But then I looked it up, and they said no, they were just concept art, and they turned it into this new creature that they included in the book.
Of course, they had to say that.
Yeah, and they shot it for the movie, but they didn't use the shot. So I don't know. I think it was from Colin Trevorrow's concept art, and they just kind of readapted it into the new book.
Yeah, it's kind of.
But pretty weird. It was a cool scene, an interesting little. This is new. They skipped over that in the movie.
Yeah.
Also in that scene, Ben. Maybe I'm forgetting, but in that scene in the movie, did Rey and Ben have a Force connection? Because in the book they do.
Yeah. So
remember that?
In the book, they said that they had it in the previous episode when they were fighting the Red Soldiers. But in the movie,
that was supposed to be like the start.
The movie we're talking about, I don't remember that being clear at all.
Yeah, I don't recall. I think it was just Ben slashing through those guys in that dark forest on Mustafar.
Yeah,
the Sith worshipper, or they were like Vader worshippers actually.
Yeah.
But in the book, it says that they like connected, and Ben like recognizes that Rey is watching him, but he just keeps on doing his thing, looking awesome. And Rey is like, "What's going on?" But I love that Rey finally, in the book, it's revealed that she has the vision of her dark side future where she's on the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the movie, they only hinted it. She's like, I've had a dream of a throne. And so who's there? He's like, me, and she talks about it. And I think if she alludes to it, that she had multiple instances of this dream, this Force dream, but we never saw it. And I really wanted to see it in the movie. I think that would have been so cool.
I think they should have really expanded on that vision, man. I mean, just seeing her with that pretty awesome twin blade lightsaber was pretty cool. But
so beautiful. I think that creepy teeth.
Yeah, man. I think they could have expanded a lot more onto that.
Yes. Like, how cool would it have been in the movie to have like good Rey walking around the throne and like maybe like go behind. Well, I guess she can't go behind it, but like if she went behind it and came out the other end as Darth Ray, oh man, that's so cool visually.
In the book and in the movie, I was hoping for more of a Darth Ray and a Ray fight, like an actual fight.
It was like 5 seconds.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even
cool.
real.
Yeah, it wasn't even real. Yeah.
I was like, oh, she's a clone. She's a clone. No, just like a weird force vision. We don't know what it was.
Speaking of the clones, did anybody catch in the book about Supreme Leader Snoke's clone seen floating?
Yeah, in the movie we see the clones of Snoke floating on the tank.
Right.
Remember?
Yeah. Like so apparently he was Palpatine's empty vessels, or that he tried to give his life essence or his conscience into those bodies, but they all failed. But he was able to manipulate them enough to kind of guide Kylo Ren in in Force Awakens and in the Last Jedi. But that's the I guess that's where they were trying to get at, like where Snoke was just clones of Palpatine.
Yeah. And I mean, even in the book, they explain like Rey's father could be, but they never like identified
a clone. Well, see, I think it's kind of like how Jango Fett and Boba Fett, how they were clones of each other, but he took one as his son, kind of thing. And I'm wondering if that's how. I mean, because if that's what Palpatine's idea was as well.
Yeah, well, Rey's dad was the clone of Palpatine, maybe one of the first ones that he went into after his body died on the Death Star.
Right.
But he didn't have the body wasn't capable of holding a spirit, so
sure. Yeah.
I'm guessing he leaped out and went somewhere else, and then like the original identity and consciousness of the body was and came back or something, and just kind of went on elsewhere in the galaxy and had a baby. And with Rey.
So, but that's such a good story, right there. That is such a expand on that. You know what I mean? Like they could have gone deeper into that in the film, like at least explain. Because I left the movies kind of thinking like, well, wait a minute, who gave Palpatine a child? Like, what? I mean, you see how crazy he is. I need to see how crazy that woman is. Like, man,
desperate.
But yeah, so I really thought about how the Caminos clone, Jango, and then Jango took one as a son, and I'm wondering if that's how, like you said, like I guess his essence wasn't able to harness that body. So I don't know.
I go a step deeper. Did you catch the word strandcast in the book?
Yes, I did.
That is from The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Mandalorian. Okay. To be suggested that Baby Yoda is a strandcast. I was reading that before we started the episode. I was like, oh, what?
Yep. What was the character in The Mandalorian? Like the side character, the good guy that helped him out? Not Kai. It was like a short name. Oh, the short alien.
Oh, it is spoken, or I have spoken guy.
I have spoken. Yeah, him.
Yeah.
So he actually did work for under like slave labor. He worked for the Empire and knows cloning technology.
Yeah.
And someone says towards Baby Yoda or the child says, "Is he a strandcast?" And the alien guy, he says, "No, strandcasts were like monstrous creations that so there was stuff wrong with them, and so he's definitely not a strandcast because strandcasts were jacked up."
Yeah.
So a strandcast is like a creepy bad clone. It's not all there.
So basically, maybe like how Snoke looked when in the Force Awakens, all
it's all messed up,
and
just continuing his bloodline.
Yeah.
And maybe his body's falling apart just like the clones of Palpatine was that he was in. He kept losing his fingers.
I did appreciate the detail they went into Palpatine, the way he looked and stuff. Ugh, but I did find a hard miss. They did it in the movie and in the book on how like they do Sith jumping into other people's body. At least in this book, it still was unclear. I'm sure in the other 43 books of Star Wars they explain it, but
they do, but it's not canon yet.
They do explain in the book that when he was thrown down the shaft, he summoned all the power of the Force, and he thrust his conscience away. So in Destinies of Evil, actually Bane was the first one to actually tried that with his apprentice Darth Ziana. And then Plagueis also it's not like it's not confirmed that he did it, but they allude that Plagueis did the same thing. When Palpatine murdered him. So it's like you said, it's definitely explained, but it's just in the other novels. But
Yeah, all the non-canon books covered a few different times. Right. So Darth Bane learns it from Darth Undeadu, which is like way back in the day, like even more ancient. And I'm actually listening to that book right now. I just started it. I'm where Darth Zana gets like his own. She's trying to get a pupil.
Oh, okay.
She's trying to get a disciple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's called Force Essence or Essence Transfer.
Right.
And that's like the official name for it. So again, we see canon Disney basically taken from other authors, not giving them any credit, not paying them for nothing, but they're taking these great ideas they had in the past, 90s and 2000s books, and they're just like, we'll take this, exactly. And we're going to make an awesome movie.
Yeah, they did all the work for us. Thanks.
They did. Yeah. This is another case where they just jacked something from EU, and they made it cool.
Yeah,
made it public.
They're like, we're running out of ideas, so
yeah.
Did you guys get the explanation of all those? I guess those people that were like kind of like watching as Palpatine was pretty much beating the crap out of Kylo and Rey.
Oh,
how they were Sith and Imperial loyalists, and some of them were even kidnapped.
The Sith Eternal.
And they were the Sith Eternal. They were kidnapped and brainwashed kids.
Yeah.
Oh,
I caught that, but thank you for bringing that back up. I thought that was kind of, I was like, whoa.
That was dark, man. Like,
and some of them were even born into it. So they were a generation in where they just grew up like the Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
That's all they knew was the Sith worshiping the Empire, worshiping Palpatine.
Man, that was so dark. Like, I would love to see like a spinoff, if you will, of what Palpatine was doing this entire time, man. Like that was... I'm into that gritty darkness of Star Wars.
We just need a Sith movie.
Yeah, I like that idea.
And Palpatine was hustling, man. He's doing the Death Star creation. He's doing fighting Luke and controlling Vader. And he's making a whole population over on another planet in the unknown regions, mind you. Build thousands of ships. He's been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sith Eternal is something I didn't have time to look into, unfortunately. But it's just this shadowy, large population of people that do all his bidding.
Yeah,
building ships.
That was pretty legit. I like that.
Those Sith troopers were a freaking letdown, though. I got to put this out there.
You said who?
Those red Sith troopers. I was like, ooh, Force sensitive troopers. They're gonna have a legit fight.
Look,
they were like nothing in the movie.
You know what? Yeah, that was a letdown. Lando and what was the girl's name? Jana.
Yep, his daughter.
Yeah, so they allude that it's like, how hard was it for them to just say that in the movie? Like,
yeah, we were left with our heads scratched a little bit.
It's for sure though. Like the details line up. He lost his daughter.
Yeah,
his daughter, and then she's like, "I was taken from my family." I'm like, "Oh, that's so his daughter."
That's his daughter. Yeah, I mean. Well, we need to go and find out what's going on. Yeah, it's like, come on. Yeah. Come on, bro.
I wrote on my notes, I said, First Order took Lando's daughter, and I said, definitely Jana. No doubt about it.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Can we just say also Thompson has a great Lando voice? Dude.
He's so slick. Who can't he impersonate? Like, he's got to be the world's best impersonator.
He can't do that.
He can, though. I don't know. He's done it better.
I've heard better ones.
So here's something I was curious about. This is kind of more speculation. Never going to get an answer to this. But Rey, when she makes her own lightsaber out of her staff, it's got the yellow blade, the yellow crystal. Mm-hmm. Where did she get this crystal?
Exactly.
Because originally, kyber crystals come from the planet Ilum, right? That's in like Clone Wars. Yep. All the Padawans, when they're a certain stage of training, they go to Ilum and the crystal finds them or whatever. They find the crystal, but she had to find it from somewhere else because, Ilum went bye-bye.
In the book, they pointed out that during her training, she had learned how to put a saber together.
Yeah, in the books.
The
Jedi.
But that's where she learned how to do the healing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that still leaves it open ended, like what Daniel's saying on. Where did she get the crystal from?
She got to get that crystal from somewhere. So she did. She had some time to fly around the galaxy and find stuff and do some hunting.
So that's fantastic because now that means from the scene with Palpatine dying and like all the everybody coming in, flying in from the time that she's where Luke grew up. Now it means there's another span of time we don't know about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, it's really just between episode 8 and 9 where she had to have found this yellow crystal.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the only time she could have found it.
The Sith army in Kylo Ren, they spent a lot of time collecting, things from the, from Jedi temples, places, Jedi planets that were, worship the Jedi. So I mean, maybe she found it, within the First Order. So maybe they had it like locked up somewhere, and she just.
Here's something weird. Maybe you guys have read something about this, but when she turns on her own lightsaber at the very end, there's like a spark of blue, and then the yellow blade comes out. Have you noticed that?
No, I have to rewatch that.
Jen's necklace.
It's like a one frame flash of blue, and then the yellow comes out. And I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, maybe was that on purpose, or was that a lack of editing?
Maybe. Oops, it's yellow. It's yellow, guys.
One thing that they retconned that kind of made me annoyed was when Kylo Ren in The Last Jedi told Rey that her parents were nobodies. So the author actually retconned that and said that he made a mistake.
Well, I don't know. I think I'm okay with that because Force visions and Force things like that, they're not 100%. And he was right. They were nobody, but they were also kind of somebody.
They were kind of somebody. I mean, even no, you know what? You can't really say that they were nobodies. The man was a clone of Palpatine. That's a pretty big deal.
But on his own, as far as we know, he wasn't like some big bad Jedi or Sith. Yeah, he was just a dude. Yeah. With no Force powers, apparently, which is why Palpatine was not impressed by him because he couldn't use the Force in his body or whatever, I think.
Yeah, I think the book used the terms trickery, truth, or a potential reality or whatever the case may be.
Maybe, maybe.
I was going to say, everyone who was able to see the future via the Force were pretty accurate. I mean, Anakin was pretty accurate. That's really the only person who really used the...
True. Yeah. So. But Yoda, always in motion, the future is. That's a great save for a bunch of plots.
Only when the plot requires.
Yes, exactly. Only when it's convenient.
Right.
Here's one thing that really threw me, and this is one big hope I had for the book. I was hoping we would get a logical explanation of the issue of Rey's parents and that spaceship that they're in, the Bestoon Legacy is what it's called.
I know. Like, where were they going?
It's so confusing and muddled. Maybe, Dante, you have a different perspective. You can sort this out. But I am thoroughly confused about the Bestoon Legacy being Ochi's spaceship. So here's my, if I can even put it chronologically, here's my confusion.
Okay.
In episode 7, we see Rey. She touches Luke's saber, and she has a Force vision of her past. And she remembers her being left on Jakku. She looks up. She's being held by that nasty big guy. What was his name? The junk dealer.
Oh,
forgot his name.
In episode 7.
Yeah, her parents leave her on Jakku with that junk dealer she works for.
I don't remember his name, but yeah,
the big nasty dude. Which, by the way, Parents of the Year, right? Who leaves their kid with that guy? What the heck? There is a Church of the Force. Church of the Force is on Jakku. The nice old guy in the very opening scene of episode 7.
Yeah,
leave it with them. I don't know. Anyway, so
tell us how you really feel.
My other rant. Yeah. She sees her parents leaving in that spaceship. The Bestoon Legacy is the name of the ship. And go flying off, and she's left there. So later in episode 9, we learn that ship actually belonged to Ochi, which is a Sith hunter employed by Palpatine. And he actually killed Rey's parents with the Sith dagger.
Yep.
So I'm assuming that happened on the ship because she touches the dagger and she hears the voices of her mom and I think of her dad. And Creepy. She sees the vision of them dying. So did they get killed on the Bestoon Legacy? And I don't know. It's just weird. You understand?
Yeah. So actually, I'm gonna let me go with Rey's parents. They might get the Parent of the Year award because if they left with with those at that that temple, that probably would have been the first place that Palpatine might have looked.
Oh, you're right.
So even with the junk guy, might have been kind of smart. I don't know. But actually, no, my cousin was talking about that same thing, and he brought up a good point. He said maybe that ship originally belonged to them, and he might have found them. Maybe they went to a pit stop, and he happened to stumble onto them, got snuck onto the ship
on Pasana. They left Jakku, went to Pasana.
Maybe, and then he snuck on the ship, killed them, and he took the ship for himself, and then there you go.
And ended up dying on Pasana. This is weird.
They just got John Wick.
But then again, like where were their? I mean, he might have jettisoned their bodies, maybe in space. I don't. Buried them somewhere. But in the visual dictionary of episode 9, the Bestoon Legacy, it says it's Ochi's ship. So
I've also thought about that. Someone else has said that maybe it belonged to the parents. But I just don't see any good reason to believe that. It just seems like Abrams didn't think this through. It just didn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem right. And here's another thing. That's what's up. Put that aside. Dio, the droid, was on the ship. Seems like when the parents were murdered. So Dio has like explicit memory of the parents, dying or being captured.
Twitch.
he's seen things. He's been through things.
No, thank you.
Right, but this is my problem. Dio has seen them, and like, why do they never access that data? But like, hey, you've been around Ochi. Ochi killed my parents. Tell me about my parents. That never happens. That's annoying.
One could say the same thing about R2D2. He saw a lot of stuff during the Clone Wars, and no one decided to go in his memory bank and find out exactly what was.
So true. He was there when Luke was born.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just crazy.
But no, that you brought a good point about Dio.
He's been around, but forget about him.
It's
so along for the ride.
Yeah,
I'm hating on the book right now, but let me say something I liked. I liked the little Zori escape story in the book when she's escaping from Kajimi. She's got her little buddy, her gangster pal. That was cool. I was like, I want to have a book about Zori. This would be fun. It's like a bounty hunter kind of. Well, not a bounty hunter. He's a spice dealer or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really like that little sub story of her getting off the planet in her Y-wing.
You know what? I like too how the author explained the Exegol battle. Because in the movie, just out of nowhere, all these ships come out. But the book does a really good job of explaining how exactly Lando were able to get everybody together.
How were they? Remind me. I'm forgetting.
So. Leia and Poe actually spent months, rekindling old friendships, old allies, finding new allies, because a lot of the people that came with Lando were being pursued by the First Order in the first place.
Yeah.
A lot of them were already, being weighed down by that. So when Leia and Poe actually came together and, reached out, they were gung-ho about, let's get something together. And then Lando was just sort of like the icing on the cake to seal the deal and bring everybody together and get them, going. Could be wrong, but I think her death brought them all together as well. When they found out that she died, it was more like a rallying cry for all the allies to come under one banner.
That plus the celebrity power of Lando Calrissian.
Exactly, yeah.
Did the
trick. Exactly.
Yeah, that was cool. So at the very end of the book, when they all show up, there's this back and forth on the radio of the different people that showed up. And they, of course, confirmed that Ghost was there, piloted by the kid of the two characters in Rebels. What are their names? I haven't seen Rebels, so I'm forgetting their names.
Yeah.
Is it Kanan?
Rebels is canon now, yeah, apparently.
No, Kanan. Is Kanan the character?
What is that kid's name? I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm seeing their face right in my mind, but
yeah,
I know exactly what you're talking about. So they were in that ship.
No, they weren't. Their kid was.
Oh, their kid was.
And the another ship from Inferno Squad shows up, which is piloted by the child of those two characters from Inferno Squad, which is Battlefront 2. Because that. Oh, by the way, that's an awesome book. Battlefront 2 book is so good. Basically, there's like an elite infiltration squad from the Empire that infiltrates a rebel group that are going to do stuff. And long story short, they end up turning rebel, and so their kid is a rebel and is in the ship that their parents owned.
So did you guys catch what was the co-pilot's name in Last Jedi with Lando and the Millennium Falcon? What was his name?
What was he one of those flat face guys?
No, he had the white like mask. He had those big bulgy eyes.
Yeah, funny lips. I don't remember his name.
Nine Gnome, or I think it was Nine Noob. But yeah, he was a co-pilot with Lando Calrissian.
Interesting. Well, I recall a back and forth of some different pilots that were kind of bantering, that seemed like they know each other, and they're bantering back and forth over the radio until someone's like, okay, guys, cut it out. We got to go kill these guys. But before they stop, they're bantering back and forth, and it says their names. And I don't recognize their names, but I think that those may be either characters from Rebels or maybe just laying down some seeds for later stories. Y'all remember that? The other character names? They were flying ships that came to the rescue.
I do not remember any of the names.
Yeah, I need to go back. It's at 8 hours and 47 minutes. I wrote that down so I can go back and find it, but I haven't yet. But that's when the ghost is confirmed and all the other little people come in and are like, hey, I'm here. So yeah, go back at 8 hours and 47 minutes. Get a cool little.
I'm going to write that down.
I knew. Oh, The 9 noob co-pilot.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, him and General and Akbar, they both died in these films, and it's just like, oh man, all the original.
Did y'all read that thing about the actor who played Akbar and how he was upset about how he died?
He should have been.
Yeah, and then the ending is like he just gets blown up in the when Leia's ship gets hit and she flies out in space. That's when Akbar died, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it was. So he never gets anything. No
fanfare, no honorable mention, no. Right. Hey, Akbar, we love you. We're gonna miss you. Nothing. He just
right. Died. So what is Ryan Johnson do at the end of the movie filming? He has the actor put on the helmet and say, "That's a wrap." I'm like, oh. So apparently the behind the scenes story from the actual guy who played him, which is the original actor who played him in the original trilogy, they brought him back. So he of course went along with it because Johnson said to do it, but he said that he was crying, or later, like right after that, he cried because he was so upset about just it being a joke. That's a trap, or it's a trap, it's a rap kind of thing, being a joke. And it's like, my character just died, and there's no like anything being remembering him.
Do you know what that guy did for the resistance? I mean, the rebel. He did so much, but whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's a wrap.
Remember the medal that Chewie actually received?
Yes. So 4 years later.
Apparently, that was. I'm assuming because she said he, but that was actually Han's.
Chewie still doesn't get his own dang medal. He still
don't get his own medal. Like what? Like everybody's getting the short end of the stick here. Like all these, whatever.
Poor Chewie. I do feel like this movie did a really great job of, like I said earlier, fan service, just including so many little things. I mean, I almost feel like for a month, Abrams was like, I'm going to write down all the little things that fans want to happen, little nods and Easter eggs that need to be thrown into the script somehow. I'm going to write a list of them, and I'm going to make them fit into the story somehow, because there's so many little things.
There are a lot of like you said, fan service type.
He did a great job. I have to give it to him. I was very impressed with how much he crammed into the movie, and did make it too obvious, but it was just obvious enough.
Yeah, but like I said, I think he spent more time doing that stuff instead of just finishing off the trilogy.
A logical story.
Yeah, like finishing the story like it probably should have been. The ending though, it made me think about they just going to keep milking this cow.
Yes.
How Poe ended up being like a true cynic. But he said I guess Finn was saying to him how Leia brought the galaxy together, and which I don't know. I mean, okay, whatever. And then Poe responded, "If you say so, Finn." So it was just, burn. Yeah, exactly, and I guess he has this idea that somehow he didn't believe that everything was truly over.
Yeah.
So I felt like they left that open on purpose, just to kind of
they even asked the question that should never have been asked. You think Palpatine will return?
Yeah, it's like, come on,
don't say that.
Don't. Yeah, that's just
stupid.
Just come on, man. So I guess there's some other clone out there waiting to just rise up and
wouldn't that be something?
Raise another. Yeah.
He'll come back as like a sexy redhead next time.
Oh my goodness! Or somehow that clone that's out there is going to force transfer his essence into Rey. I don't know.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, that wasn't smart at all.
But I did like the little bit that followed. He's like, evil will always rise up somewhere.
Yeah,
and we just need to be ready for it. And that reminded me, I had a really dumb comment by someone online. I was saying, I did a post on a sci-fi group, and I said, what would you like to see happen after episode 9 concerning Rey and the group, Finn and Poe? And I add my 2 cents in, which is I want to see her start a Jedi temple of some kind. Maybe not the word Jedi, but
right.
Light side users, whatever.
Skywalker temple.
Skywalkers, yeah. Skywalker temple.
It's never gone.
Right. And I want to see her do that. I want to see her find Force-sensitive people of all different ages and races and teach them what to do in case, whatever. And someone's like, Palpatine's gone. There's no more bad guys. I'm like, seriously, dude?
Yeah,
you think that there's just going to be no evil in the galaxy from here on out?
Well, see, and you know what? When the trailer came out for The Last Jedi, they kind of did a misdirect on the trailer. But Luke, he was at the entrance of the cave, and he said that the Jedi must die.
Yeah.
So, to your point, I think he was having this situation where he was like, man, as long as the Jedi exists, or the light side of the Force exists, there's always going to be evil, which is why he felt the way he felt about how, leaving everything behind. And so I'm wondering, like, if they were to go, for past episode 9, I think I would love to see them explore that, like, just getting rid of, the whole, the whole thing of being Jedi or being a light side user, and explore more in the middle ground. And if
balance,
there's a middle ground, then there's no need for a dark side and a light side, Well,
I love the thing that Luke says. It's either in the book or the movie where he says that the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi. It's not like the Jedi own the Force, and the Sith are using it bad, or the dark side is using it wrongly. It's the Force is everywhere. It's almost like a pantheistic view of God, where the galaxy is the Force, kind of, and life itself is, and it has balance inside of itself. If you use it wrongly, then you're going to be. If you use it towards the destruction, and you can channel the dark side of it with selfishness and anger and things like that.
Yeah,
but I want to see the future of a more balanced Force user.
Yeah, that'd be
can
cool.
be married and can have emotions and have attachments, but they also fight for the right thing and they have morals.
Right. Well, I mean, hey, Freddie Prinze Jr., even though it wasn't a tirade, but Freddie Prinze Jr., when he went off and he explained exactly that, like, there's always as long as there's evil and there's good, it's always going to be that conflict. And so getting rid of that conflict, the only way to do that is finding a middle ground. I mean, so that'll be
and avoiding all the problems the Jedi have had in the past, as much as possible.
A lot of the problems were self-inflicted, ask me, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah. We were talking about Chewbacca earlier, and I wanted to throw this out there. The book finally references the fact that Ben grew up with Chewbacca.
Yeah.
In the movie, like, I think Ben does meet with Chewbacca, and it's like nothing. He's like, freaking Ben grew up at least maybe 5 to 10 years with Chewbacca at home in some way. And nothing. But the book is like, oh yeah, there's a thing there,
Yeah. Which, it was weird too, because I just remember something when you talked about that. So the book actually explained that whole thing about him dying in the movie. When
who dying?
When Rey assumed that, she killed Chewie. And then she come to find out later. Yeah, so in the novel, if I can remember correctly, the only way she really found out that he was alive is because through the Force, she saw that Kylo was interrogating Chewie.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's how she actually figured it. I think that's how it went, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I thought it was like she sensed his life force or whatever. It's like, that's Chewbacca's
that's how the movie. Yeah, that's how the movie explained. But actually, she saw it through that Diedat thing, and she saw through Kylo's eyes that he was interrogating Chewie.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Another random thing is with Palpatine and his life harness thing. The book actually names it. It's called an Omen harness, like Ommin, as in a name. And so it says that it's an Omen harness, and it was worn by the Sith King. I was like, what is this? Who is this Sith King? And what's going on here? So I looked it up, and again, we're getting some ripoff from expanded universe stuff like back in the 90s. This is like a really deep dive. Back in 1994, there was a comic called Tales of the Jedi. Freedom Nast Uprising.
Yeah, I have that. I have that on Audible.
You got it.
Yeah.
So Omen is the name of a Sith King.
Yeah.
And he's got a harness. Like, he tries to, does he do essence transfer or something like that? What does he do?
No, I don't think that was essence transfer. That was, what did he use that for? Because I think this was when the Sith were an actual alien race. That was during that time, if I'm not mistaken. But it wasn't used for essence transfer. I'm almost certain of that.
But he wasn't doing well, so he had to have the harness, like, to help
him.
It
was to help him, because I think he was injured, and he needed something to help prop him up, so to speak. But it had nothing to do with, like, the Force or anything. I think it was to help him physically. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's King Omen. So the Omen harness is named after him, which is not canon.
Man,
but they brought it into the movie and named him.
They can't be doing that.
I know.
Well, they did.
Pay these authors, man.
Yeah, pay the authors, man. They spent a lot of time on this, and you're just gonna write them off. But yeah, we're gonna pick and choose when we can, use some of that stuff.
A lot of this kind of stuff happened in Solo. There was so many little callbacks to old books and old comics.
Really?
Even like in the visual dictionary, mostly it names things more specifically. And I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in the background, characters and the artifacts in that guy's yacht. His space yacht.
Yeah. Okay.
That trophy room.
Yeah.
Like each table had at least like 5 or 6 things.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were from EU books and comics from back in the day that are now limitedly in canon. It doesn't make the whole book canon, but it makes like that name or that character vaguely canonized. So pretty interesting.
I wonder if these are, of course, I mean, what's canon, that Disney makeup what's canon, what's not, but from the director or from the author's point of view, like they might have been like hardcore fans. And so to kind of like pay homage to the people.
Yeah, I think it was.
They probably just, let me bring this in here because I really like this.
I love this book. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe that's what that was. So I don't know.
Yeah, it probably is. Mm-hmm.
Their way of paying homage, I suppose.
Yeah. I really like the rogue stormtrooper idea. And are there any books about that? Like, there's got to be some.
No, there isn't. Like, I was really hoping they would have gone deeper into that because I feel like that's a story in itself. I mean,
oh yeah. That could be a whole series, just a whole ship of stormtroopers, like just leave and like we're going to do the right thing, and maybe they have the Force, maybe they don't.
And see, and that's what I'm wondering, like because remember when in the Force Awakens, I'm assuming when Finn woke up, or maybe that was the Force waking him up out of his, his
could be
brainwashing.
That's what he says it is later down the road. He's like, I had a feeling, it's the Force, whatever.
Yeah.
So. I mean, is the Force? Were these stormtroopers? Were they Force sensitive? No, I mean,
I was fantasizing about that. Like, what if a whole troop of stormtroopers were Force sensitive? Oh,
goodness,
cool.
Maybe
they actually hit their shot.
Yeah, but the aim would have proved dramatic.
Oh my gosh,
totally. But here's the thing: the Force doesn't. You don't have to be Force sensitive to get things from an external source of the Force. So the Force can send you, a little ping or something or a feeling or a sensation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you necessarily have to be Force sensitive to receive those kind of messages from the Force.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Janna's like, we had this feeling. And then of course, Finn steps in. He's like, that was the Force.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I would love to see more of that too. But I was curious, like back in the, history of Star Wars books and comics, have there ever been stormtroopers that went rogue? Maybe one that inspired the whole Finn idea. Do you know of any?
I feel like there might have been, like, because
I read somewhere that there was some book about a rogue stormtrooper that went good. He like hid away on a planet or something and started a life for himself.
I'm assuming this is post cloning though, right?
What's that?
Now this is post clone troopers, not when they were all clones, right? Yeah. I feel like there might have been. Yeah, I feel like there has to be one who stepped out of that and did their own thing.
Well, I think that Janna's company deserves at least a comic book run. That'd be really cool.
Well, I definitely feel like they're gonna do something, and I want to say I've seen it like online. I mean, but that they were playing with the idea of having a Disney Plus series based off of Lando and Jaina, like they're but I think that was just.
That sounds like rumor because I think he said that he wasn't doing any more Star Wars movies. He's not doing too great health wise.
Oh no, I was surprised he was able to do what he did.
And he looked healthy. I saw him in on stage, and he did not look healthy.
I saw a few years back he did Dancing with the Stars, and he had to leave leave because of his poor health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was shocked to see him actually do that, and then he had to cancel a lot of Comic-Con appearances because of his health.
Yeah, well, he had some pretty easy scenes in Star Wars. He didn't really do a lot,
right? Yeah, those things they could have filmed that in his house.
Yeah, right. He just walked over here, stood here, sat in a cockpit.
Right. So, yeah,
that's probably on purpose. Speaking of original characters, I really liked how in the book, and we see it in the movie too, but in the book, I feel like it was way more pronounced that Leia is constantly being supported and helped by Connix, who in the movie is played by her daughter. I just love that secret little connection there of Connix being this like, she's always there to help Leia out when she needs it.
And then Rose, she had a bigger role in the novel as well.
Yeah, tell me about that. I'm forgetting. What was her deal? They expanded on her being at the base.
So she helped with the defenses I think it was a scene where Kylo infiltrated I can't remember. I know she fixed wow. She repaired
she looked at the
Millennium Falcon. She repaired the Millennium Falcon. She helped repair that.
Oh, that's
good. She had a bigger role in the ground assault when they on Exegol. And she built like a defense system when the First Order attacked, and she helped with that. But there were some things. I do remember her having a bigger role in the novel.
Yeah.
So
she needed it. I like Rose. I would like to see more of her. So I'm glad they did that.
I didn't mind Rose, but I didn't think she deserved that much of an importance in the films. Like, that was just one more character we had to deal with. We were already dealing with the crap that
so many.
It was so much stuff that we had to deal with anyway in the Last Jedi, and just to add another character who just got shoehorned. And
make a stupid love triangle or whatever. We'll shape it. I don't know.
Man, that was a love octagon. It was Rey, Poe, Finn, Rose,
Good diamond.
Yeah, that was crazy. But yeah, I didn't mind her being in the film or in the stories, but I didn't think she needed to be like that.
Or Rose.
It was already too many people to kind of keep tabs of. But yeah, she did have a bigger role in the story.
Here's something that is interesting to me that I have my notes to look up later when I have some time. Is the Dai Bindu? He's like some alien race that goes way back to the origins of the Force or maybe the Prime Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know yet, but in the book they mentioned that Kijimi was a religious place for the Dai Bindu, like people, whatever. And I've heard Dai Bindu before in reference to like ancient Jedi stuff. You know anything about that?
Yeah, they just they can't be referencing stuff like this and not explain it or go too deep into it, because again, that's outside of canon now.
Again.
Yeah, so this is back when it wasn't called they weren't called Jedi, they were called Jedi.
Right. And that's Dawn of the Jedi stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I believe in one of those I guess manuscripts or scrolls or whatever, books that that Rey had explain more on that. Yeah.
Were the Dai Bindu like on Tython or anything like that with the origin of everything?
I cannot remember it. What was I can't think of the home world. They
did make
Jedi.
Tython. They made the planet Tython canon, which is interesting.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I read it. It was either in this book or in something else that I read recently that was canon. I was like, oh, hey, that's Tython.
Okay,
that's cool.
It was in this book.
Maybe not this one, but okay. I also started another book that happens after episode 8. It's like a little small story. Called Resistance Reborn. It may have been in that one, I think.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm interested in that book.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't finish. It expired, and I forgot to back it up before it expired.
I did notice that the Dyad little system thingy. I guess that was supposed to replace the rule of 2.
You think so? I didn't make that connection, but yeah.
So Palpatine was trying to create Dyad with Anakin. But for whatever reason, I'm assuming because his machine body or whatever prevented them from actually creating it. So there was an attempt to have Kylo and Rey do it, and I think that was I'm going to speculate this one, but I think this was Palpatine was actually trying to get that together so he can take over her body and create that dyad system or a dyad with.
Well, wait. Do you think that the dyad was created, or was it a naturally occurring thing?
I'm assuming it was created.
Because in episode 8, when all we knew was Snoke, it was very heavily insinuated that Snoke force bonded them together for whatever plan he had. But then 9 comes around and it's like, no, this is called a Force dyad. And, it seemed like a naturally occurring thing because remember, Palpatine was surprised. He's like, a dyad. It's been generations since we've seen this.
Okay, see, and here's the thing. So I was doing some research on that, and I don't know of any book, even in outside of canon or inside canon, that this is the first time the dyad was actually even mentioned.
Yeah, finally an original idea, right?
Right, yeah, exactly.
True.
So when you said that Snoke kind of force bonded them, it was just the same thing like what Palpatine was trying to do with him and Anakin. So he did that with Rey and Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
So I'm going to assume that it was created because there's no mention of it anywhere. And then the rule of two. I mean, even Palpatine was kind of like the rule of two is obsolete at this point. He began to believe that, and eventually it ended up being cast out anyway. And I think that's what he used that to kind of replace it. A connection in the Force where instead of having master and apprentice, they're both kind of like almost one, and they're stronger. I suppose, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I can see that. The rule of two is funny to me because it's philosophically like a necessity when you're evil because everyone else is evil is going to want to try and kill you. So you need to just have only two of you that has the power so that you're safer. But then it's funny to me because that your apprentice is going to kill you. So like you got to live in like constant anxiety knowing that my apprentice is trying to rise up and kill me any day now, any year now. And the stronger I make them, the better chance they have is going to kill me. Like that's ridiculous to me that they would do that. But whatever.
A true Sith wouldn't really be bothered by it because they know that has to happen for the Sith. Because the grand scheme of things was that the Sith had to survive, the Sith had to prevail. So their death was actually a good thing, especially at the hand of their apprentice.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, and it would also ensure that the future, lineage would be stronger and stronger.
Exactly, yeah.
But still, that you're teaching someone to kill you. Basically,
it's like taking
thanks.
Your child. You're just preparing your child like you're set to kill me when you get ready, son. So just
yeah. Oh, here's something interesting I noticed. So in the book, when Kylo comes out of like hyperspace and he's going to Exegol, it says that he's like he's in this space of like red hexagons. It's like this weird spacey abstract thing in the unknown regions where there's like these large hexagon like web what do they call it? Honeycomb shapes. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Was that in the movie? I don't remember a visual.
I don't think there was a visual. No.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. So I was like, what is this all about?
Yeah.
So I looked up unknown regions and I found that in canon there's 3 planets that are in the unknown region you may not have known about. The first planet is Kissiala. I don't know how to say it, but it's the Chiss homeworld. So that's crazy. That's we knew that already because that's actually more commonly known.
Yeah.
But also what surprised me was that Ilum is in the unknown region and Octu, or the planet that Octu is on.
Octu is in the unknown regions. Okay.
But it doesn't make sense to me because Ilum was revealed recently to have been Starkiller Base. There's like a connection drawn, someone like data mined it out of Fallen Order that Starkiller Base was Ilum somehow. And we know that got blown up in episode 8. So how is Starkiller Base in the unknown region? I don't know. Maybe it was a safe area. They cloned the planet.
They cloned the planet.
Oh my gosh. Imagine
well, I mean, I guess that explains, Palpatine, creating Starkiller Planet in the unknown regions, and
it's a layer of protection.
Yeah, he amassed the intergalactic credit to turn a planet into a base. Yeah. Where is all this funding coming from? That's what I would like to know.
got some good investments going.
Yeah. I wish they would have given us a little bit more depth of like when he caught the saber in the flame. Like I don't know. I just felt like in the movie and in the book, I wish there was more conversation that happened. But if it's not there, it's not there.
I would have thought Luke would have giving Rey more advice on what to do, because he was at the same point in his life in episode 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would have been nice to have more dialogue between those two, especially in the film.
I read an article where they were saying that was a retcon when he caught the saber versus episode 8 when he tosses a saber. And I don't see it as a retcon. I feel like it makes total sense, because think about this: Force Ghost Luke is in the afterlife. He sees all things, and he's finally mature. And just like Vader, at the end of Luke's natural life, he had a turning, right? He had a turn of heart, change of heart.
Okay.
Because he fought the battle on Crate. Yeah. So he died knowing better. He kind of realized, crap, I've been wasting years being a dark, that's cold-hearted, I don't want to be a Jedi anymore kind of deal. So now he's a Force ghost. He catches the saber, and he's got his head on his shoulders is better than it was when he was alive.
Sure.
So I don't feel like as a retcon. No. I like that. It's like he knows what's up now.
That's very
he needs to tell Rey.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I feel like they did like a hard miss of bringing Anakin back, but whatever.
You wanted Anakin to come back?
Oh yeah, I was hoping like during the Luke scene when Luke was talking to Rey that Anakin would have walked over, but it's okay. They had Yoda.
Hey, well, his voice, he was one of the voices though.
He was, but could have been. I don't know. I watched episode 9, the movie and the book, and I'm like, come on. Like there's some holes still, but it's okay.
There was some opportunity they could have, shown them, popped them up, could have popped up.
I'm still ticked off that the Force Ghost didn't actually appear in that temple area and like helped Rey defeat Palpatine.
Yeah.
Oh, they just kind of like gave her a little cheer on, like, you go, girl.
I wish
you got
like
this.
It could have been Anakin, because like Anakin was at that point where he was Vader, or it could have been Anakin and Luke, because they both been at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of something really cool they could have done. Remember in Lord of the Rings, the Return of the King, when they came out the ship and all those ghost pirates came up from behind them and they started attacking everybody?
I think so. For the other country, they're like Indian looking.
Well, no. So in Return of the King, that when Legolas, Grimly, and
oh, you mean the Ghost Army?
Yeah, the Ghost Army. They came from behind them, and I said Ghost Pirates. Yeah, the Ghost Army. Yeah, they kind of like charged in from behind, and started attacking everybody.
Yeah,
they could have done the same thing with Rey when she was going after Palpatine. All those voices came up, popped up from behind her, and went after Palpatine. That'd have been visually. That'd have been a visual visually amazing.
And it would have made sense, because the whole line, like in the promo and in the movie, was all the Jedi live in you now. Like, okay, they should be doing something then.
All we get to do is just hear, little bits of them recording their voice in their homes.
We're with you. We're with you.
Yeah, okay. We're with you.
Did you see my funny post about that? I was like, did they rehearse their timing like in the Force world?
They all record. They all just took a voice recorder on their phones and sent it into J.J. Abrams. Oh, come on, man.
Okay, we got it good on the first take. Here you go.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for the movie, I just wish we would have more Jedi Ghost. And just the fighting scene with more people would have been better at the end, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I thought the fight scene with Kylo Ren. I mean, even in the book, the fight between Kylo Ren and the Knights of Ren, who, by the way, were actually Moes of Palpatine in the
so cool.
Yeah, I thought that fight scene could have been a little better, but I did like the fact that they were actually servants of Palpatine and not servants of
surprise.
Surprise. Yeah. So, but his whole life was basically a lie after he left the Jedi Temple.
You know what's interesting is in the book they said that they could touch the Force to some amount. So some of the Knights of Ren are Force sensitive.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Such a mess.
Yeah. And in the Kylo Ren comic, I think it's called Rise of Kylo Ren. It's like a 4-part comic.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Knights of Ren, when they attack the Ahch-To temple, one of the Knights of Ren has a red lightsaber.
Oh,
y'all know that?
Huh.
It might be Ren himself, because Ren is the leader of the Knights of Ren at that time, before Kylo Ren, totally turns, when he's still like a teen. It's one of the comic book covers. One of the Knights of Ren, or Ren himself, has a red lightsaber.
Oh, okay.
Huh. Interesting. Maybe that's the red crystal that Luke has in his temple.
And so, you're talking about like him younger. That was another thing in the book I was hoping that they would cover was when Luke was training Ben to give some more backstory. But
oh yeah,
even in the movie it was kind of vague, and in the book I feel like it was even more vague.
But you had to go pay for the comic book for that.
Apparently,
and you know what? I never fully understand why he turned like I mean, Last Jedi explains it, but
the book of The Last Jedi kind of revealed a little bit more of the emotion behind it, in that Leia and Han gave Ben to Luke because of two things. First of all, they were crazy busy running the Senate or whatever it was, the New Republic, and then Han being like a general and doing stuff too. So they were gone a lot. So there's that. But the second part is that Kylo, or Ben, actually had like rage issues even as a kid.
Yeah.
He like said at one point he threw something across the room in a fit of rage with the Force, and he was a crazy handful. So they just like didn't know what to do with him, and maybe they're busy, and they gave him to Luke, saying, "Hey, here, just take care of him and fix him," you know. So he felt betrayed by his parents, and then when Luke did what he did or didn't do, then he feels betrayed by Luke. So it's like double betrayal. Everyone's just like, gonna get rid of him.
So his whole life was just a lie then. Like everybody betrayed him. Nothing was real.
And then he died.
Was being played, and then he died. Like, what? Such a tragic story for this guy.
Yeah,
I thought Anakin had it bad.
Yeah,
but at the very end, his mom convinces him, "We actually loved you the whole time." And he's like, "Okay, I believe you. I'm good now."
You know what? that was, you know.
I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Okay.
Man, that was an emotional scene.
It was.
You know what? For some reason, I thought the book captured the emotion better than the film. In that, when he spoke to
his dad.
Yeah, that for whatever, I felt like that was more. There was more emotion in it. I don't know. It just maybe the words she used or something about that was just more emotional. I don't know.
Yeah.
What he's saying is Mark Thompson should have been in the movie.
He should just overdub everything.
You know what? Maybe that's what it was. Maybe his voice was just so like into it that it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm about to shed a tear here.
Get back in there, you tear.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah.
That's funny.
That's one thing I've always wondered when I listen to these books, if any of the voice actors get like a cameo in the film.
Dude, that'd be so great. They deserve it. I think that's about it for all we have to rant and rave about this book. But Dante, we thank you so much for joining us, man. You had a lot of great insight, and we really appreciate you jumping in.
It was a pleasure, man. I love you guys' show, man. I listen to it when I'm at work all the time. So I love it. Yeah.
We finally got a fan. We've had a lot of interviews, but I don't think most of them listen to our podcast.
Oh man! Hey, look, you know what? It's funny because what captured me with yours, you posted something on Facebook about it, and I think if I remember correctly, I think the first one that I listened to was you guys' take on like the weirdest and craziest stuff in the galaxy. And
space, yeah.
I'm a huge space nerd. I love everything about the universe. And then from then on out, I was into y'all's podcast, and I went back to listen to some old stuff. I'm like, and I'm always on the road, driving from long distances. So I just listen to your podcast.
Oh man, perfect for podcasting.
Yes.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for enjoying the show. I think we got a pretty good one out here. We're like a hidden gem. We don't have a lot of listeners.
Yeah.
It's a hobby for us.
Oh, yeah. It happens so much. People are like, "You're on a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then they go look. They're like, "Oh, my goodness, dude. Y'all cover so much and such good stuff."
If you look on my Instagram, I made this little video. It's like, "Did you know I'm on a podcast?"
Yes,
and,
I saw
someone commented. Someone commented, said, "Well, you're like up to 100 episodes. How did I never hear about this?" I was like, "We're at 200 episodes. I don't know. Where you been?"
Yeah, I saw. I thought that was funny. I'm like, wait, people don't read. No, y'all have y'all have an extensive library. Like,
I think so. I did a good move when we made this podcast. We made it a variety show.
Yeah,
still safe because we're not experts on a lot of things.
Yeah,
but we can talk about a bunch of different stuff, so it works out.
Which is what I like about yours. Is it's not just geared to one thing.
Yeah, there's something for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on, and hopefully you can keep listening. I think you will.
I definitely will.
We'd love to have you back on, maybe for another book review or something else in the future.
Hey, I am ready when you guys are.
Awesome, cool. And Nate, thanks for listening to the book twice.
Oh yeah, totally, 100%.
You with your 6 stars?
Yeah, and I feel like I got an achievement, but I still get one from Audible, so whatever. I'm good. I'm not crying, you're crying.
Just email them. Be like, I need a badge.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. We'd love to hear back from all of you out there. What are your thoughts about the book, if you read it or listened to it? If you have any comments or maybe corrections or additions to anything that we talked about, which is really just a bunch of random ideas, which I'm fine with. Star Wars is one of those awesome universes you can just chat about, for a long time, and it never gets old. So we'd love to hear back from you guys. You can email us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com or comment on any of our social media posts and let us know what's on your mind. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll be with you next week. If you like this show, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also find our previous episodes there and listen whenever you want. We love to hear from our listeners, so if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, you can reach us at tvvpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and have a great week.